Crop production and management. Lesson preview. Crop plants. Agricultural practices. Preparation of soil. Agricultural implements. Seed selection. Sowing. Manure and fertilizers. Natural methods of replenishing soil fertility. Irrigation. Crop protection. Harvesting, threshing, and winnowing. Storage. Increasing crop yields. Animal husbandry. We all know that food is essential for our survival. The energy we obtain from food is utilized for carrying out various functions of our body like digestion, respiration, excretion, reproduction, etc. Depending on feeding habits, creatures can be herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. Large-scale production of crops is required to provide food to a large population. Hence, proper management and distribution of food is necessary. The agriculture began about 12,000 years ago. Before that, the primitive man was a hunter and food gatherer. He led a nomadic life, wandered from place to place in search of food, and ate whatever he found. He accidentally discovered that plants could be grown. He thus started cultivating crops. He improved irrigation facilities, and later used scientific methods to grow crops. He also began to domesticate animals for food and other purposes. This led to the development of agriculture. The word agriculture is derived from the Latin word agricultura, from ager or field and cultura or cultivation. Thus, agriculture means producing crops. As we get nutrition from plants and animals, agriculture, in fact, is the science of growing crops and rearing animals for human use. Developments were almost negligible in agriculture till about 100 years ago. Since then, there have been rapid advances, i.e. development of new seed varieties and animal species, use of chemical fertilizers for increasing crop yields, use of pesticides for crops protection, and use of labor-saving machines, such as tractors, harvesters, seed drills, weeders, etc. This led to better crop quality and much higher yields. In India, this agricultural revolution, Green Revolution, began in 1960. As a result, food grain production in India has increased manifold. Table. Production of food grains. Food grains. Production, million tons. 1950-51. 1960-61. 1970-71, 1980-81, 1990-91, 2000-2001, 2019-2020. Rice, 20.6, 34.6, 42.2, 53.6, 74.3, 85.0, 117.94. Wheat, 6.5, 11.0, 23.8, 36.3, 55.1, 69.7, 107.18. Crop plants. Plants of the same kind grown at one place on a large scale constitute a crop. For example, several plants of rice grown in a field form a crop of rice. A large variety of crops are grown in India depending on the climate, rainfall, and humidity. Different crops are grown in different regions of our country. Crops are basically classified into two types based on seasons. Rabi crops. Rabi crops are also called winter crops. They are sown in October to November and harvested in April to May. Examples are wheat, barley, gram, pea, mustard, and linseed. Kharif crops. Kharif crops are also called summer crops. They are sown during June to July and harvested in September to October. These crops need a large amount of water, so they are sown in rainy season. Examples are rice, maize, cotton, groundnut, and soya bean. Horticulture is a branch of agriculture. It deals with the production of vegetables, fruits, flowers, and ornamental plants. It is carried out on a smaller scale than agriculture. Cereals were the first crop to be cultivated. These are tall grasses that are cultivated for their nutritious seeds, called food grains. They provide the staple food for people in nearly every part of the world. Wheat and rice are grown worldwide, and are the most important cereals. Crops are also classified according to the purpose for which they are grown as food crops. Food crops like rice, wheat, corn, etc. are grown for use as food for humans and animals. Cash crops like cotton, sugarcane, spices, etc. are grown solely for the purpose of making profits. Examples of some common crops grown in India. Table. Some common crops. Type. Example. Cereals. Wheat, rice, maize, barley, ragi, millet. Pulses. Gram, peas, beans. Oilseed. Mustard, groundnut, sunflower. Tuber crops. Potato, tapioca. Fiber crops. Cotton, jute. Root crops. Sweet potato. Sugar crops. Sugarcane, beetroot. Plantation crops. Tea, coffee, rubber, coconut. Agricultural practices. Let us now learn about basic practices of crop production. Modern agricultural techniques are systematic and scientific. It is now realized that for healthy growth and higher crop yields, plants need oxygen, sunlight, water, soil nutrients, protection from pests and weeds, and proper storage after harvesting. It is also realized that these needs differ from crop to crop. Sunlight and air are abundantly available in open crop fields. For other requirements, however, the farmer has to make special efforts. For growing crops, a farmer has to perform a number of activities over a period of time, in a proper sequential manner. These activities or tasks are known as agricultural practices. These activities include preparation of soil, selection and sowing of seeds, adding manure and fertilizers, irrigation, crop protection, harvesting, threshing and winnowing, storage. Preparation of soil. The first step in growing a crop is to prepare the soil, i.e., to make it ready for sowing of seeds. Soil anchors the roots of plants, provides nutrients and water to them, and also provides oxygen to the roots. Some microbes and organisms like earthworms help to keep it fertile. Tilling or plowing refers to loosening and turning of the soil. This is an important process. It has the following advantages. Loosened soil allows roots to easily penetrate deep into the soil. This helps to fix the plant firmly in the soil. Loosened soil helps in trapping air into the soil. This is used by the roots for breathing. It is also beneficial for the growth of earthworms and microbes present in the soil. These organisms further turn and loosen the soil. They are considered as friends of the farmers. They make the soil fertile by decomposing the remains of plants and animals, and thereby releasing the nutrients held in the dead bodies of animals and plants back into the soil in the form of humus. The spaces between the soil particles help to trap water, thereby increasing the water-retentive capacity of the soil. Loosened soil helps to bring nutrient-rich soil to the top, which can be used by the plants. Fertilizers mix easily and uniformly with the loosened soil. Plowing is done by a tool called plow. Plows are made of iron or wood. The wooden plow has an iron tip which penetrates into the soil. These days, iron plows are also used. Plows are also drawn either by bullocks or other animals like horses and camels, or through a tractor. At times, the plowed field may have big lumps of soil. They need to be broken down with an implement called the cultivator. Then, the soil is leveled using a wooden or iron plank called leveler. The process of making the soil surface even and smooth is called leveling. Leveling prevents soil erosion and helps in uniform irrigation of agricultural implements. The main tools used for breaking soil to the size of grains to get better yield are plow, hoe, and cultivator. All these tools are used before sowing the seeds. Plow. It consists of a strong rectangular iron strip called plowshare and a long log of wood called plow shaft. There is a handle at one end of the shaft, and the other end is attached to a beam which is placed on the bull's neck. Hoe. It is used for removing weeds and loosening the soil. Cultivator. Nowadays plowing is done by tractor-driven cultivator. Hoe. Cultivator. Table. Common implements used in agriculture. Implements. Uses. Wooden/iron plows. Soil preparation. Wooden/iron leveler. Leveling. Hand sowing, seed drills. Sowing. Manuring drills. Manuring. Tube wells, sprinklers. Irrigation. Trowel, hoe. Weeding. Knapsack sprayer, aerial spray. Crop protection. Sickle, harvesting machine. Harvesting. Threshers, combines. Threshing. Jute bags and wooden, clay or metal containers. Storage. Seed selection. After preparing the soil, seeds are sown in it. This is the most important step in crop production. Seeds should be of good quality, i.e. high-yielding, disease-resistant, clean, and healthy. Activity. To separate healthy seeds from unhealthy ones. Take a beaker filled with water. Add a handful of wheat grains or whole gram seeds to it. Stir well. Leave it for some time. What do you observe? Some seeds settle down at the bottom, whereas some seeds float on the surface of water. Seeds which are damaged or eaten by insects become hollow and light. They thus tend to float on water. This is a good method for separating good, healthy seeds from the damaged ones. Seeds should be sown at right depth, neither too deep nor too shallow. If planted very deep, they will not germinate. If planted too near the surface, they will be eaten by birds. Seeds must be sown at a proper distance from each other to avoid overcrowding. If space between the successive seeds is too little, plants will not get sufficient sunlight, nutrients, and water from the soil. And if the spacing is too large, precious space is wasted. Sowing. Sowing can be done either manually or mechanically using a seed drill. Manual sowing. The process of sowing seeds by hand is called broadcasting. In this method, seeds are sprinkled directly into the soil. This method does not ensure that seeds are uniformly distributed, and they are sown at an appropriate depth. Seeds of millet, maize, and wheat are sown by this method. Using a seed drill. It is a better method than manual sowing. This method ensures uniform distribution of seeds and also seeds are sown at a proper depth. It also ensures that seeds are covered with the soil after sowing. This method is also faster and more economical. A seed drill has a funnel-shaped opening leading to long tubes. See figure. It is attached to a plow. Seeds are put into the funnel. As the plow makes furrows in the soil, the seeds are deposited in the soil by the drill. Sowing of seeds by transplantation method. Seeds of certain plants like paddy, chili, tomato, brinjal, etc. are not sown directly into the field. They are first sown in seed beds called nurseries and then transferred to the fields manually when the seedlings, small plants, are 4 to 6 weeks old. This is known as transplantation. Transplantation is highly useful to increase crop production. It has several advantages. It helps the farmers to to select healthy seedlings and space them properly. To avoid the wastage of space. Manure and fertilizers. We need to add manure to get better crops. Substances which are added to the soil in the form of nutrients for healthy growth of plants are called manure and fertilizers. When crops are grown in a field, they use the nutrients present in the soil. Farmers grow one crop after another. The fields are not left uncultivated. The soil becomes devoid of certain nutrients. Farmers, therefore, have to add manure to the soil to replenish the nutrients. This process is called manuring. Manure is a natural substance obtained from decomposition of plant and animal waste. It is organic in nature and increases the humus content of the soil. Manure also helps to increase the water retentive ability of the soil. It improves the texture of the soil and makes the soil porous. Green manure are the crops or plants which are grown for the purpose of manuring the soil. Green manure crops are grown, cut and plowed in the soil in order to replenish the soil with essential nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus. It is an eco-friendly method of manuring the soil. Examples of green manure crops include sun hemp, dhincha, legumes, ryegrass, fenugreek, etc. Compost is rich in organic nutrients but not in some important plant nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Fertilizers are chemicals made in factories. They are rich in a particular nutrient. They provide nutrients to the soil in a concentrated form. Some examples of fertilizers are urea, ammonium sulfate, potash, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Fertilizers are also a source of soil and water pollution. Excessive use of fertilizers is harmful as the chemicals in fertilizers destroy useful microorganisms in the soil. Therefore, we must substitute fertilizers by organic manure, or leave the field uncultivated in between two successive crops. Natural methods of replenishing soil fertility. Crop rotation. Crop rotation is a natural method of replenishing soil with nutrients. This is done by growing different crops alternately. Farmers thus grow legumes and wheat alternatively in northern India. You have already studied in the previous classes about rhizobium, nitrogen-fixing bacteria, in the roots of legumes, and how they fix nitrogen in the soil. Mixed cropping. This is another natural method of replenishing nutrients in soil. In this method, two or more crops are grown together in the same field. The crops are selected in such a way that the nutrient requirement of one crop is fulfilled by the other. Any leguminous crop, such as peas, soybeans or green beans, and a cereal crop, like wheat or rice can be grown together in the same field for this reason. Cotton and groundnut crops are also often grown together. Fallow. Another way of allowing soil to regain its used-up nutrients is to leave it free, fallow, for one or more seasons. In this duration, dead plants, animals, and other organic matter collect on the land and are decomposed by microbes. Thus, nutrients are returned to the soil. Table. Differences between manure and fertilizer. Serial number. Manure. Fertilizer. 1. Manure is a natural organic substance obtained from plant and animal waste. Fertilizer is an inorganic salt. 2. It can be prepared in fields. It is prepared in factories. 3. It increases the humus content of the soil. It does not increase the humus content of the soil. 4. It is not very rich in plant nutrients. It is very rich in plant nutrients. Organic manure is considered better than fertilizers as it is more environment friendly and does not cause any soil and water pollution. Irrigation. Like human beings, plants also need water to live. Water is necessary for proper growth and development of flowers, fruits, and seeds. Plants contain 90% water. In the absence of water, germination will not take place. Nutrients need to be dissolved in water before they are transported to different parts of the plants. The crops are protected from both frost and hot air currents by water. Water has to be supplied to the fields regularly so as to maintain the moisture content of the soil for a healthy crop. Traditional methods of irrigation. Some of the traditional methods include 1. Moat, pulley system. 2. Chain pump. 3. Furrow irrigation. 4. Dhekli. 5. Rahat, lever system. Moat, chain pump, furrow irrigation, dhekli, rahat. The water available in lakes, canals, etc. is lifted up in different ways for supplying to crops. These methods are cheap, but often lead to wastage of water. Modern methods of irrigation. Modern methods of irrigation help to save water. Sprinkler irrigation and drip irrigation are examples of modern methods. 1. Sprinkler irrigation system. In sprinkler system, water is supplied to crops as artificial rain. This is useful in uneven land where sufficient water is not available. It is useful in areas having sandy soil. These are perpendicular pipes, having rotating nozzles on top which are joined to the main pipeline at regular intervals. This method involves pumping of water at high pressure through the main line by means of a pump. As water escapes from the nozzles, it sprinkles on the crop as if it is raining. 2. Drip irrigation system. In drip system, pipes or tubes having very small holes are used to deliver water drop by drop directly at the base of each plant. Hence, it is called drip system. This method is very useful in areas having shortage of water. It is an ideal technique for watering fruit plants, gardens, and trees. Crop protection. Protection from weeds. Sometimes, undesirable plants called weeds grow naturally along with the intended crop. These weeds need to be removed as they start competing with the crops for air, sunlight, water, space, and nutrients. The process of removing weeds from the cropped field is known as weeding. Examples of some weeds are grass, amaranthus, chenopodium, bathua, and wild oat. Farmers use different methods to remove weeds. Tilling before sowing seeds helps in uprooting and killing weeds. They dry up and mix with the soil. Manual methods of weeding involves uprooting the weeds manually. This is done using tools like the hoe or trowel. Weeds can also be uprooted with the help of a seed drill. Amaranths. Compendium. Wild oat. Weeds are also controlled with the help of chemicals called weedicides. Weedicides destroy the weeds without affecting the crops. 2. 4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid, atrazine, dalapone, butachlor, etc. are some of the commonly used weedicides. Weedicides are diluted with water and sprayed on the plants by water sprays. Weeding is carried out before plants produce flowers and fruits. Spraying of weedicides may adversely affect the health of the farmers if they accidentally come in contact with these chemicals. They must be handled very carefully. Nowadays, herbicides have replaced weedicides. They are obtained from plants. They do not affect the health of the farmers. Trowel, hoe, harrow. Protection from pests and diseases. Pests are organisms like rodents, rats, or insects, locusts, weevils or termites, that attack, infest, and destroy crops. Rats eat the produced grains while insects damage crops and grains. Pesticides, which are poisonous chemicals, are used to control pests. They kill pests and their eggs and larvae, but do not harm the plant. Pesticides include insecticides, substances which kill insects, and rodenticides, substances which kill rodents. Insecticides are sprayed by hand-operated machines or by low-flying aircraft. In case of very large fields, they should be sprayed at appropriate times in the correct amount, or else pests might develop resistance to them. Some common insecticides are malathion and diacetyl. Plants are also damaged by diseases caused by fungi, bacteria, or viruses. These diseases can be transmitted by seeds, air, soil, or through insects. Rust and smut are fungal diseases of wheat. Potato blight is also a fungal disease. Wilt is a disease caused by a bacterium. It blocks the xylem tissues of a plant. Consequently, the plant wilts and dies as water cannot be conducted up to the leaves, fruit, etc. Fungicides are sprayed to destroy fungi. Pesticides need to be used with caution as they can damage health of farmers. They kill useful insects such as honeybees, which help in pollinating plants. In humans, they can cause skin irritation and respiratory problems. They are also mixed up in soil and water so that they can be absorbed by plants. Then they enter our bodies through the vegetables and fruits we eat. Harvesting, threshing, and winnowing. Harvesting is the activity of picking and collecting crops after they mature. It is an important step. Harvesting season is different for different crops. It is a time to rejoice for farmers. It comes after 3 to 4 months of hard work. Harvesting is done either manually by sickle or with the help of a machine called harvester. The crops are cut close to the ground. The harvested grains are called produce. They are tied in bundles. Threshing is the process of removing the seeds of crop plants by hitting them, using either a machine called thresher or a hand tool. Another farm machine is the combine harvester, which is used both as a harvester and a thresher. After the grains are threshed, chaff is removed by winnowing. This can be done manually or with the help of a winnowing machine. Thresher harvester, combine harvester, winnowing machine. Storage. The harvested grains have to be stored till they are made available for human consumption. They have to be stored carefully to retain crop quality. They have to be kept safe from moisture, rodents, insects, and microorganisms. Freshly harvested grains contain a lot of moisture. The grains have to be properly dried in the sun to reduce the moisture before storing them. Most grains spoil quickly and are also attacked by organisms, thus losing their germination capacity. Dried grains are less susceptible to attack by microorganisms and pests. Farmers store grains in gunny sacks or metallic bins. Bulk storage of grains is done in silos or granaries. This protects them from attack of pests. At home, dried neem leaves are used to store food grains. Large quantities of grains can be stored safely in silos so as to last till the next harvest. The humidity level is also controlled in silos and granaries to prevent the growth of microbes. Increasing crop yields. Plant breeding is the practice of altering the traits of plants to produce the desired characteristics. The hybrids developed are improved varieties with desirable characteristics of the parents which enhance and increase crop produce. Hybridization is the technique by which new varieties of crops are developed by crossbreeding two different varieties. The new varieties have the desired characteristics from both parent varieties. Emasculation is a process used to remove anthers of one variety of plants to prevent self-pollination. Afterwards, the pollens from the other plant variety are transferred to the stigma of the flowers of the first plant. This helps to generate the desired characteristics of both varieties in the seed called the stalk of the new variety. The emasculated flowers are protected by covering them with a bag to prevent their contamination by undesirable pollen grains. Animal husbandry. Animal husbandry refers to the breeding, feeding, and caring of domestic animals for food and other purposes. We obtain many food items and other products from animals. Animals can be classified on the basis of the food they provide us with. Meat and egg-yielding animals, goat, sheep, and fish provide us meat. Poultry animals such as chicken, duck, and turkey provide us eggs and meat. Large-scale rearing of fish for food is called pisciculture. Milch animals, milk-yielding animals. These animals include cow, buffalo, goat, and camel. Honeybees provide us honey. Large-scale rearing of honeybees is called apiculture.